Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allison, and today we're going to talk all about how to have a really restful, peaceful, successful analog evening. On this channel, I love to talk about intentional living and recovering from burnout. And my last video was how to have a successful analog day, a full 24-hour cycle of embracing this analog trend. I've really been loving the trend of analog days and have found that as much as I love analog days, it's not super practical to have them consistently in my life, especially because of my 9 to 5 job. I have found that having an intentional evening throughout the week that I unplug is really helpful. And I know that this is going to be one of those tools that help me on my burnout recovery, which I feel like we all could use in 2026 with the stress of the state of the world right now. Because technology is so pervasive with our everyday lives, it can be challenging to have a full analog day. Because I've really enjoyed the 2 analog days that I've had, I've started having some analog evenings. And I am setting out on a goal to have one analog evening every work week. So in this video, we're going to go over what is an analog evening, how to set it up so that you can be successful, and why you might want to do it. As someone who did a lot of personal work back in 2024 to recover from burnout, I have noticed in myself in the beginning of 2026 with the heaviness of the state of the world, it has been really hard. And I have found myself slipping back into burnout, feeling that numbness, feeling that pull to always be scrolling on my phone. I have done a lot of work of breaking a lot of my scrolling habits over the past almost 2 years now. I actually created a free guide for you to be able to help break your scrolling habit if you have also been noticing that you are slipping into absorbing a lot of content continually. And then that feeling of numbness, but also complete exhaustion, and also that you don't really have a lot of drive to go after your goals and accomplish the things that you really desire in life. These are key signs that you are becoming burnt out. And I've been noticing that in myself this year. So I am pulling back out all my tools that I learned over the last 2 years and putting things back in place. And having these analog evenings are supporting me in recovering from my burnout so that I can have more peace. I don't want to just fully check out and, delete all my apps and not be on my phone and not stay informed, especially within the state of the world right now. So it's really important to me that I stay informed on what's happening while also protecting my own well being, and finding that balance in 2026. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie. I believe that having this one evening a week to really unplug, reground myself, pull back some peace into my life is not going to solve all of my burnout issues, but it is going to help. So now that we talked about why it can be really helpful to commit to an analog evening, let's talk about how to do it. So if you commute to and from work, when you leave work and you're driving home or getting on public transportation and making your way back home, that's when I would start to think about transitioning to your evening and unplugging from work. For me, I work from home. And so when I log off of my work laptop for the evening, I head right out the door. I put on my walking shoes and I go for a walk. It has been so helpful for me to leave my phone behind and go for a walk to help with that transition time from working to home life. Because work is inside my house, it can be a little challenging if I just close my laptop and walk down the hallway and go about my evening. It doesn't really feel like I have that transition time. Changing your outfit or your clothes can help, but for me, it's leaving the house, going for a walk, and coming back. And when I'm on that walk, I don't bring my phone. Sometimes I bring my husband so we can chat and catch up on how our days are. And sometimes just like taking in the landscape. I do live in Joshua Tree, California, so my walks are quite beautiful here. But even in a neighborhood walk, walk. You can notice different flowers blooming, maybe someone painted their house. It's just so nice to shut off your problem solving brain that you are probably using a lot at work, going for a walk and noticing what your surroundings look like, the temperature on your skin, what you're hearing, just really tuning into your physical senses, not overthinking and over planning. And when I come back home, I don't grab for my phone, which on my non analog days, I'm not gonna lie, that's when I grab my phone and look on my app, text friends. But on my analog evenings, I find that I have some space and the energy from my walk to do some tidying around my house. And that really serves me in feeling more peaceful in my home, because when I have a clean, tidy, decluttered home, it provides me a lot of peace and comfort while I'm relaxing and living inside my space. So I take some time to tidy the living room or clean up that cluttered corner in the kitchen, or maybe put away some laundry, something like that, not overdoing it in the task world, but just find that I have some space because I'm not on my phone. Then I typically am doing that while my husband is cooking dinner because he's the cook in our family. But you might find that because you're not scrolling on your phone or defaulting to watching TV, you have time to cook yourself a nice healthy meal instead of ordering from, DoorDash or something like that. Cooking yourself a healthy meal is also going to help with that burnout recovery, feeding yourself some nourishing food, enjoying a healthy dinner, definitely putting on some music. I love to play records on our analog day, but I also have in our house, if you have an old phone just like sitting in your junk drawer, I definitely recommend like using that as your music streaming phone in your house so that it's not like attached to someone's personal phone in the home. We have that, and sometimes on the analog evenings, we'll stream on that because that phone doesn't have any social media apps or text messages coming through it. It's just for streaming. Put on some music, set the vibes, like turn off all the big lights, turn on some lamps. I love candles. I love incense. They really help shift the energy in the home, help you downshift into that more relaxed state while you enjoy the meal. Eat your dinner, clean up your dinner, and then you will probably again come into tension with that impulse to pull for your phone, to turn on the TV. Maybe if you're a video gamer, that's typically when you play your video game. So now you have to think of something you're going to do to fill that space with. What I love about my analog evenings is that I actually feel like I have more space in my evening. So often I feel like I get off of work, it's time to like do a chore, to make some dinner, clean up dinner, get ready for bed, go to bed, and I don't feel like I have any time for me. But what I found is that when I'm not scrolling on my phone or watching YouTube videos for an hour plus time, I feel like I have more space and more time. I choose to use that time to read because I love to read books. Reading books is one of the main ways I've broken a lot of my scrolling habits in the past that I'm bringing back to the forefront as I have noticed I'm slipping back into some burnout behaviors. Maybe for you, if you're not a reader, this is a time to like color, do a puzzle, journal, check in with yourself. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Reflect on your day, reflect on the past week or month. Take some time to journal, collage, do something with your hands. That's what I have found is most helpful, especially when we always have this impulse to grab for our phones. There's been research studies that show that people grab for their phone upwards of 200 to 400 times a day. It's wild. It's wild. You might have that impulse. So, filling your hands with an art project or something you can do tangibly can really help combat that impulse that you have. Also, while I'm reading, I love to make a cup of tea. I'm really into herbalism. Make yourself a nice cup of tea. I recommend, looking to herbs like chamomile. Tulsi and mint are my absolute favorite for evening. Tulsi really helps with the nervous system, and mint is just a really lovely, bright flavor, but it also helps with digestion, which is perfect for after dinner. So I love a Tulsi and mint blend, but just finding some kind of relaxing tea if you love tea or hot chocolate. Some kind of sweet treat is nice to have while you're doing your art, or for me while I'm reading my book. And then I have have time typically to slip into a bath, which is lovely because in my non analog days, I feel the speed of the evening and my time just whooshing by me. And I just hop in the shower and get into bed. And I'm usually getting into bed too late, which is not helping me with my burnout recovery. So on my analog days, I've also noticed that I get to bed earlier, which is really nice. I will say that there is a tension around when we're not being overly stimulated and we're used to watching the TV or watching reels and TikToks over and over. Whatever that like influx of the blue light from whatever screen you tend to default to in the evening, even though our bodies in one part of us feel more relaxed because we're not having all that stimulation, there is a part of our brain that has the habitual habit that remembers that stimulation. It feels a little tingly and uncomfortable on that part of your brain because you're not giving it that stimulation that it's used to having every single night. Maybe you typically online shops and you're building shopping carts and you're mindlessly shopping. If you have trouble with mindless shopping, I've created a video for that just as an FYI because I love low buy journeys and shopping intentionally. Low buy has been really helpful for me over the past year and a half to help me curve that mindless shopping habit. You find yourself on your analog day feeling more peaceful, more grounded, which is lovely, which is what we want. But there is a part of our habit brain that is used to having that stimulation. You feel that tension when you haven't been giving it that. So if you feel that way, what I have found on my analog evenings is to spend some time stretching. So this is the time when I will like break my rule and pull up maybe a 15-minute evening yoga class on YouTube. I can also just do it solo and like do my own practice. But if that's not something in your wheelhouse and you're feeling a little antsy, this would be the time that I would be like, that's okay. Like put it on a really warm screen setting so that you're not having the blue light and have a 15-20 minute relaxing bedtime yoga or bedtime stretching video that helps you soothe that sort of anxious part of your habit brain that's looking for that stimulation as you relax and to head into bed. And then you get into bed early, which is great, which really helps with that burnout recovery. And you have a peaceful evening and you get a good night's sleep and you start the next day and it's back at work and back in all of the things. I have been loving the analog trend of 2026. It's been so fun and so interesting to really experiment with the impulse that we have towards technology daily and sort of like training our brains to be able to slow down and find more peace and what you do with your time when you're not interacting with technology. I really hope that you find this helpful. If you give it a try, I would love to know. Please let me know in the comments below. How did it work for you? Is there something that you think is like really helpful to do on an analog evening that I didn't mention? Please share with me because this is something that I'm going to be doing going forward for the rest of this year. I would love if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel because I love to talk about intentional living, my low buy journey, and just really finding ways to take back our non-work and sleep time and live with as much intention as possible and feel our best as we do that. I hope that you found this video helpful. And next you can check out this video that I made you here all about how to help you combat your doom scrolling so you can take back your time, not give it to the algorithm, and live your life with more intention. I hope you have a really great day and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.